Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. 'Tis the season, and in the spirit of events, or at least some events, I know not everyone might celebrate Christmas, and that's cool, but for those that do, and you may have occasion to sing Angels We Have Heard on High, I had a request on one of my other videos, I think, about doing the Gloria thing that's at the end of that, the Gloria, and practicing that thing so we get a nice long phrase out of it. So we're not going to really sing the song in this video, but I've got some practices that you can use to help with these problem spots. And there's two main ones that I want to identify. First and foremost are the entrances on the verses. Those are almost always, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, they are all on the third. Angels we, right on that third. That can be a little tricky, so we're going to practice that. We're also going to practice that long run. And so that we can make sure we get all that stuff worked out. If you've chosen to subscribe, I thank you. If you haven't yet, I hope that you'll do so now. There are myriad other ways to support my channel. Those are in the description. They include Patreon, where you can get MP3s of this stuff and little PDFs. And as well, like on the website, which is where my AAA method is. Because I deleted that email list. So if you were on it before and you're no longer getting my monthly newsletter, I deleted it. So you might have to go, well, you will have to sign up again if you want to get the newsletter. Anyway, first and foremost, let's do back to front. I can't do this in every single key. I guess I could, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stick to the keys that I think are most likely going to be the ones that you're going to encounter when you're singing this. So we've got a little narrow band. Most voices are going to find this to be workable. The extremities might have some challenges. So bass baritones, this is going to be right on top of your primo passaggio and getting close to the secondo passaggio for you. Doable, but challenging. Sopranos, you may find that it's easier at times to skip up the octave, but at some other points, not so easy. Suss it out, see what's best for you. Sometimes when you're singing carols, that octave flip can be extremely useful. In other words, you might start off rather than going down to that. Parts of the melody or melodies in their entirety, depending on where they are, key-wise, sopranos, that could be in the cards for you as we move into the caroling season more fully. For my part, caroling season has been on since June. I love carols. I love this music. Anyway, let's do some of this stuff. So first and foremost, try that with the lip trill, please. 2, ready, and. And take a breath. Let's do it again. 2, ready, and. I did the upper octave there for some of you. You might find that useful. Let's do it one more time. 2, ready, and. Now, let's try it with an E vowel. The lip trill is typically a very efficient use of airflow in our voices. And so if we can make it through this phrase in this tessitura, the lip trill will show us that it's possible. If we can translate that to an E vowel, we're that much closer to then being able to do the phrase with the vowel from Gloria. Gla, that kind of sound. E. ready, and. And again, 2, ready, and. One more time, 2, ready, and. Cool. A. 2, ready, and. Again, and. Ah. Two, ready, and. One, two, ready, and. There's the upper one. 2, again, and. O. You can throw the Oria in there if you want to at the very end, but leave the GL off for a moment here. 2, ready, and. And again, 2, ready, and. Now if you add the GL, let the G be softer. Try not to hit that G with a G kind of a sound. La. Get into that L. That L, which is a partially phonating consonant, can in fact help you balance out the vocal fold so you get the most efficient use of your voice on that long line, which is of course what we're looking for. We want to be able to make that phrase. Gloria. 1, 2, ready, and. Now, F major. Let's go back to our lip trill. One, two, ready, and. One, two, again, and. Upper octave of that final pitch. One more time, 2, ready, and. E. 1, 2, ready, and. ready, again. One, two, ready, again. Put the GL in there, emphasize the L. 1, 2, ready, and. One more time, 2, ready, and. Here, G major. I'm gonna skip F sharp because I just don't, I mean, you can't rule it out entirely, but I sincerely doubt that anyone's gonna be singing or playing this in the key of F sharp. Again, you can't rule it out, but we're gonna skip over that one for right now. Back to the lip trill. For those of you that are wondering, perhaps, this melody starts on the 5th. 5th of the key. 1, 2, lip trill, and. And again, 1, 2, ready, and. One more time. 1, 2, ready, and. E, 2, ready, and. One, two, again, and. A, 2, ready, and. One, two, again, and. Ah, 2, ready, and. Again, 2, ready, and. I want to make sure I'm throwing those upper resolutions there regularly for those who need it. Those who need it. Moving on swiftly. Aria. Aria. 1, 2, ready, and. Again, and. Add the GL tenors. The GL here, the temptation can be to really lay into it a little bit because we're getting close to the secondo passaggio. For you baritones, you too, to a certain extent, baritones in this key, you're probably on top of your secondo passaggio, like right at it on that 5th scale degree, the tonal onset there. So keep that in mind. there, I'm like almost sneaking into the phrase because I'm backing off that G so much. Gloria. Additionally, baritones, if your secondo passaggio is more on the lower side of where this melody begins, you're going to be using a bit more air, and you may find that if you have to sing it in this key, you may have to sneak a breath at the very end of the phrase. If that's the case, my advice would be to go back through these practices and practice the breath there, even though you don't need it for the lip trill and the solid vowels, so that you get into the practice of it. The more you practice it, the less obtrusive it will be in your phrase. But anyways, add the GL, everybody. 1, 2, ready, and... Again, and. Last time, 2, ready, and. All right. Obviously, if it's not obvious, I apologize for saying obviously, but you can do this in any key. This is just, at this point now, this is a vocalization as much as it happens to be the melody from Angels We Have Heard on High. Those of you who get the PDFs with Patreon will get the scale degrees for this, so if you have to do this carol in a key that I haven't covered here, the scale degrees in solfege can hopefully help you to transpose it into that key. The tonal onsets for the verses, I'm going to change that into a bit more of a messa di voce kind of exercise. So that would be where we're going to start. We're going to leave off that fifth stuff. Here's the third for this key. Ready? And And let's do this again. With messa di voce exercises, we're looking to start with a very balanced, even tone. Think more like the softest viable tone. So it's in tune, it sounds like the rest of your voice, it sounds like the rest of the note that you're singing, and it's easily sustainable. That's the lowest viable sound. If it's different in some way, then we're not at the lowest viable sound, we've got something different. We make a crescendo, and then we make a diminuendo. We're starting on the third, we're focused on the third, we're starting and ending on the third, quite frankly. And the idea here is to firmly seat that concept of where the third is of the chord, because that's the beginning of our melody. Your turn. And. And just to check yourself, was the third. Let's do it again here. And. And once again, checking ourselves. Even I'm imagining those pitches in my mind, trying to practice this skill without actually singing it. Your turn. Take a breath. And. and checking. And in the bigger picture of our singing, this is also how we can take our vocalizations, all those warm-up videos that are on my channel, we can take those vocalizations, use them with a melody, and then work towards having the melody have the same tone quality and agility, all those things that we practice in our vocalizations. By using the vocalizations in place of the lyrics, we then bridge that gap between the point of the vocalization and getting to the completed song. And it's my hope that if you're still with me here in this video, you'll see that, and that will help you in your singing of Angels We Have Heard on High. I threw the Messa di Voce exercise in there for the practice on the third, on the verses, probably in part because I haven't done one in a long time. Also because I find this time of year to be somewhat stressful. I am to understand that I am not alone in that many people can find the holiday season to be somewhat challenging at times. And sometimes it's nice to have those nice long tones that are almost meditative in the way that we sing them. It gives us a moment to be still, to feel our voices resonating within us, and to enjoy that experience. As always, I really hope this helps. I want to thank you and express my gratitude for all of you who watch these videos, who write comments, who share my videos with other people, who send a message to me on Twitter, or send an email to me, or subscribe for the AAA method. All of those things mean a lot to me, and it is a great pleasure and an honor for me to be a part of your singing world, and I appreciate your being part of my singing world by watching and interacting with me in these ways. So thank you. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing. Hopefully, we'll see you again. Bye.